man is back.
Oh, okay, boys. Oh my gosh, the ring got messed up. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have the leopard.
This is your boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash, True and Fun now. Back at it with another Pokemon Unite commentary video for you guys, and I took last week off because I had COVID. Yeah, your boy picked up COVID while I was out of town, and my voice was not feeling it, so I didn't record a video last week. But I'm no longer have COVID, even though I'm still feeling the effects of it, you know, like the sinuses and the coughing and the voice going out over a long period of time of talking nonstop and things of that nature, which is ironically what I'm doing right now. So we'll see how this goes. Now, I came back at an interesting time because we now got news on the whole Deshaun Watson situation, which I haven't talked about, if memory serves it correctly, I haven't talked about on this channel until now. So let me start. So for those who don't know what's been going on, here's what's been going on. So I believe this started back in 2020, or yeah, it kind of started in 2020, but it got picked up in 2021. So what happened was this: from March 20 to March of 2021, Deshaun Watson has been attending a massage parlor apparently, and throughout that entire year, he's been accused of sexually harassing 25 to potentially 30 women within a year. And then obviously he was taken to court. Well, not taken to court, but he'd been accused of sexual harassment, and more women was just stepping up and saying, yeah, he's harassed me, things of that nature. So this has been going on for a while. This was while he was a member of the Houston Texans. Now he's a part of the Cleveland Browns, which I find funny. So here's what's been going on. So it went from a criminal case to a civil case, but it still was a case. Now, again, potentially 30 women were involved, but at the moment, 25 actually came up and said, yeah, and accused him of sexually harassing them. Now, out of those 25, Watson settled, I believe, 23 of those civil lawsuits, and one of them, something happened with one of those, the other two, I don't remember what it is, even though I have the article right in front of me and I read it, but something happened with one of them. I guess they dropped out, whatever the case may be. I don't remember what happened. So there's really one left at this moment in time. If memory says correctly, going off of this apnews.com article that I'm reading. So basically, he's not going to court. You know, he's not going to court. He's not going to face legal charges. That's how it's looking right now. So you probably think if he settled, one of them dropped out and the other one, he might settle with the other one. What's the big deal? It should be over, right? Well, no, because now we got the NFL. So this past Monday, the NFL, actually this started in 2020, if memory serves it correctly, but the NFL, they got a third party by the name of the disciplinary officer, Sue Robinson. She came out with a ruling Monday basically saying that Deshaun Watson will be suspended for 6 games of the upcoming season. Because in case you don't know, there's now 17 games in the season now, and he's going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the 17. Well, earlier today, as I'm recording this video, the NFL was like, nah, we're going to appeal that, and we're going to try to make it from 6 games to an indefinite suspension, which means this would be a minimum of the entire season. So there's that. Now the player union, who said that they were not going to go against Sue Robinson's ruling, whatever it was, and we found out there were 6 games. Now the player union had to go, wait a minute now. Now if the league trying to do that, now we have a problem. So now that could go to court in terms of the player union and the NFL. If the NFL actually appeal and is successful and they change it from 6 games to an indefinite suspension, which means, again, a minimum of 1 year. So A lot of stuff has changed. So I'm also looking at ESPN article right now. So check this out. So the NFL today appearing in the 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson, seeking a tougher penalty for violating the league's personal conduct policy in the wake of the Sue Robinson's ruling on Monday. In a statement, the league said it's notified the Players Association that it will appeal and then file its brief Wednesday afternoon. So the league said NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell will determine who will hear the appeal. Under the collective bargaining agreement, CBA, Goodell had the option to consider the appeal himself or can appoint a designee to do so. A source told ESPN that the league is appealing for a definite suspension, a monetary fine, which Watson was not leveled initially by Robinson, and treatment that the star QB must undergo. The union also have the right to appeal Robinson's ruling, although it's issued in a statement Sunday night saying it would stand by her decision and not appeal regardless of the result, and call on the league to agree to do the same. So yeah, that's the Players Association, the union. There you go. The NFLPA, or Players Association, have until Friday to file a written response to the NFL's appeal. And sources told ESPN's Jeff Darlington on Wednesday that the PA was preparing to sue the NFL in federal court if they appeal Robinson's decision. Once the PA files its response, Goodell will decide to hear the appeal himself or appoint a designee. A source told Darlington on Wednesday that he's yet to formalize a decision on who will do it, and that will be followed by a hearing date. Any appeal must be limited to arguments from the evidentiary record from the 3-day hearing before Robinson in late June, and I'm quoting here, without reference to evidence or testimony not previously considered, end quote. It would be processed on an expedited basis per the NFL's personal conduct policy. Although NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy said there's no timetable for Goodell or his designee to make a ruling. Whenever this ruling is made, it will be final and binding to all parties, which is interesting. So, very interesting stuff. So, now, let me read what they say about Robinson, here's the thing. Robinson issued a 6-game suspension Monday, writing in her 16-page report that, and I'm quoting here, the NFL carried its burden to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that Mr. Watson engaged in sexual assault as defined by the NFL, that is, against the 4 therapists identified in the report, because out of those 25 to potentially 30, 5 of them actually testified to the NFL, but 1 of them was dismissed for some odd reason, so they could only rely on 4 of them. Even though Watson have basically settled with 23 out of those 24. And again, I don't know what happened to the 25th. I need to read the AP News again so we can get to the bottom of that. But moving on. Robinson also found that Watson's engaged in conduct that posed a, quote, genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person, and conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the NFL, end quote. And we're going to talk more about that in a second. Robinson wrote that the NFL recommended that Watson be suspended for this upcoming regular season and postseason. While relying on President Robinson sought to differentiate between violent and non-violent sexual conduct, which is why it went from a criminal case to a civil case originally, in the court of law. Robinson concluded that Watson's conduct, and I'm quoting here, does not fall into the category of violent conduct that will require the minimum 6-game suspension. End quote. The league has established that, and I'm quoting again, by far the most commonly imposed discipline for domestic or gendered violence and sexual acts, end quote. Robinson also found that Watson's predatory conduct casts a negative light on the league and its players. Again, we can talk more about that in a second. Watson had denied all wrongdoings, by the way, and had said he has no regrets for any of his actions during the massage session. Watson also said he cooperated with the NFL's investigation and I'm quoting here, answered every question truthfully that was asked by the league's investigators. And there's this one quote in here. There it is. We're going to pass this paragraph, move on to the next paragraph. Robinson, however, wrote in her report that one of the aggravating factors in determining Watson's discipline was his, and I'm quoting, lack of express remorse, end quote. She noted that mitigating factors, including him being a first-time offender and his excellent reputation in his community prior to these events, end quote, which is true. Prior to this, he's done nothing wrong. Watson has been accused of sexual assault and other inappropriate conduct during massage sessions in civil lawsuits filed by 25 women. Like I said, this took place from March 2020 to March 2021 when he was a member of the Houston Texans. Okay, here we go. One of the 25, so actually this was in the ESPN article. One of the 25 lawsuits was dropped after a judge ruling in April last year that the plaintiffs needed to amend their petitions to disclose their name. In June, I'm assuming this was last year as well. This might have been this year. It didn't say a year, but I'm assuming it's last year. Watson settled 20 of the 24 lawsuits he was facing. He agreed Monday to settle 3 of the remaining 4, according to Houston's attorney Tony Busby, who represents the women suing Watson. So there's one left after that, like I said. So very interesting stuff here. There's more stuff in the ESPN article, but there's nothing that really catch my interest here. They're talking about money, and let's see. Let me look at this real quick. Although 2 grand juries in Texas declined to pursue criminal charges against Watson earlier this year, the NFL has been investigating whether he violated its personal conduct policy since 2021. The league interviewed Watson over multiple days earlier this summer. The NFL's investigators also spoke to several other women. Robinson noted in her report that the NFL claimed it interviewed 12 women who sued Watson, but Busby told ESPN's First Take on Tuesday, the First Take show, that the league interviewed only 10 of his clients. So there you go with that. If the 6-game suspension is upheld after the NFL's appeal, Watson will still be able to participate in practices and games during the preseason. He will also be allowed to return to the Browns to practice during the second half of the suspension in week 4, according to the CBA. He will not be allowed to be with the team during the first half of the suspension. So, interesting stuff. Now, so basically, in the court of law, Watson got, whether he did or whether he found guilty or not, we don't know, because he got off scot-free before even like going to trial and getting a verdict. That's how it looking from, based on what I've been reading, going off of the APnews.com article. So he never went up to court and had a jury say whether or not he was guilty or not. Apparently, like I said. But the NFL still wanted to know whether or not he was guilty or not. So there's multiple things wrong here with this situation. So based on what I read regarding what Robinson found and what the league is trying to do, they believe that Watson is guilty. They believe that, yeah, he's guilty. Even though Watson said he's innocent, they believe he's guilty. So while Robinson saying, yeah, he's only getting 6 games because he's a first-time offender, this was non-violent, and things of that nature, the league is saying, screw that crap. He should be suspended at least for the entire year. And my thing is, now granted, there is a 16-page report that Robinson submitted. Now, I have no clue if that article, oh, it is available. So I'm not going to read this. So again, it's 16 pages. So I'm not going to read all of that. So I'm assuming that within this 16-page report, which is available on ESPN.com, by the way, Robinson, who wrote the report, provided evidence of Deshaun Watson's wrongdoing. I'm assuming it's in there because if it's not in there, then we, as the general public, needs to know what led her, aside from the fact that he's a first-time offender and it was non-violent. Besides those 2 things, what led her to believe that he needed to be punished at all? Like, what evidence was there that led her to believe that he needed to be punished? Aside from the fact that he was, like, apparently emotionless when he was answering the questions and things of that nature. Like, he showed no emotion, apparently. So, aside from all those things, if this article, and I'm like skipping scamming for this article, or this report rather, and I need to like really read it to see if there's any evidence in here that led to her to make this decision. I see something of conduct that qualifies as a sexual assault on page 6, and at the bottom of page 5 it says my findings. As you can tell, my voice is going off, by the way. And on middle of page 4, it says the NFL's investigation. So there might be some evidence in this documentation. I don't know, because there's a lot here. And then I also see on page 9, conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person. I see that on page 9. They talk about putting the integrity of the NFL at risk on page 10. Again, we're going to talk about that in a second. So if there's evidence provided in this, as I hit the mic, in this documentation, okay, no complaints here in terms of why she gave him the 6. What evidence was there that led her believe that she like, the mindset here is that Robinson believes this dude is guilty, like, without question. Like, he's guilty of sexually or doing something sexually towards these women, whether it was violent or non-violent. In this case, non-violent, but nevertheless, the mindset here is she believes that he's guilty. So now another issue is the league believes that, he should get a year at least. And now I'm like, are you going to explain why? Now, whether I agree with the decision made by Robinson, whether I agree with the league wanting to appeal, make the punishment longer or not, to me, it's irrelevant. My thing is, why? Can you provide us with the why? And in the past, the NFL never do that because they like to pretend to be judge, jury, and executioner, which was against his players, which was an issue because they never tell us why. Like, if this was law enforcement, they would tell us why. They would tell us what evidence they found that led to the decision of, this person gonna go to trial because we got this on them, we got that on them. Like, law enforcement will let the public know. The NFL don't do that crap, which is totally bogus. And speaking of things that are bogus, let's talk about this one thing that was mentioned in this whole fiasco, and that is this: the integrity of the league. Well, there's been things done by the NFL owners that are worse than this, but yet they got off scot-free. You want to talk about the integrity of the league? What to deal with these owners? Matter of fact, the Miami Dolphins owners were caught doing something illegal. That happened this week. Like, they were found guilty. So I'm like, and what's the result of that? They lost draft pick. I'm like, what? Like, what happened to the integrity of the league? Like, see, this is the type of crap I'm talking about. That's why, the NFL can't be taken seriously when it comes to stuff like that. Talks about the integrity of the league. I'm like, bro, owners be doing some bogus crap. They want no women, no minorities as owners. And it's ridiculous. And they really don't want any minority. And it took a long time for minorities to be like quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks, head coaches, and things of that nature. And it's out of control. It's really out of control. So the integrity of the league is at risk because of what the players are doing. I'm like, bro, please. I don't care about that crap. If y'all really care about that crap, y'all need to do something about these owners. Like, without question. I don't care if the owners, if all 31 or 32 owners are the commissioner's boss. But like, these owners has been dirty. They've been shiesty for years. And they need to be put in check. So this whole entire thing needs to be redone, whether it's the collective bargaining agreement, whether it's the commissioner's responsibilities when dealing with these owners. It needs to be redone in order for us to take the integrity of the league seriously. So as it's concerning Deshaun Watson, do I believe he's guilty? I mean, that's a lot of women. And apparently it wasn't violent, so, but apparently, he played around too much. That's how it looking. He played around too damn much. And if that's the case, should he be punished? Yeah, he should be punished. But, but again, this was not violent. Apparently, it's one of those sexual, playful sexual things. That's what I'm assuming here. So, do I think 6 games is fine? Yeah, I think 6 games is fine. Should he be suspended for at least a year? No. Because again, The owner's done much worse. The owner's done much worse and basically got off scot-free. That's my reasoning on this whole situation. So, in order for me to take the NFL seriously about the whole integrity of the league and how Deshaun Watson should be punished even more, I'm like, bro, y'all need to fix your own damn owners. Y'all need to fix yourselves before I take anything y'all saying regarding the integrity of your own league seriously. So, that's my thoughts on this matter. And I'm going to call it a wrap. So, with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is boy New Jake Ass Beat, a.k.a. the New Stupid A. Smith. Saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.
Here comes